Thank you so much for doing this. This is the very first episode of Live Entertainment Talk. The reason why it's live entertainment is because it's a quite unique time. That's the perfect time right now to talk about live entertainment, right?
For sure. Sitting at home, it's perfect, yes.
Most of the live entertainment people I know are, of course, were at some point part of Cirque du Soleil. You're a big part of that history. Before we get to all of that, can you tell us about your story from the moment that you were born, or from at least the moment that you remember?
From the moment that I was born, oh my God. Well, yeah, I do remember myself from about 2 years old, although my mom keeps telling me it's impossible. But I have a clear picture in my head when my father was already in circus, in Russian circus, and my mother still were in his parents' apartment. And every time my dad left, I waited for him so long to come back with goodies and things. And right about when I was 5, we moved to an apartment that my parents bought in downtown Moscow, which was really nice part of town. And so they've decided that it was time for me to join a sport. And the sport was gymnastics. And because my father was doing the artistic gymnastics, my mother was in rhythmic gymnastics. So they brought me to both gyms. And first day I went to my dad's gym. I loved it there because I could, jump on trampoline, jump into the pit and foam and walk on the beam. But I was a girl, yeah, okay, it's fun. And so that same day we went to my mom's gym, which was, the ribbons and balls and hula hoop and everything. And it was a little bit more challenging. You had to stretch and do little things. So at the end of the day, my parents asked, they said, so which gymnastics and which gym did you really like the best? And I said, well, I think I prefer my mom's gym because it suits me more, but I would like my dad's trampoline to go into the gym over there. So I joined gymnastics couple I think weeks or months later. I had an audition because you have to audition and they stretch you and they look at you and everything. So I started training. And later, a few years later, my dream came true. We had a trampoline because inside our gym, because I think the gymnastic gym or the acrobatic gym was under construction. So my mom said, okay, if you train really hard, you can go jump. But for rhythmic gymnastics, it's impossible to go on trampoline because you have to jump off a hard surface floor. So trampoline was a big no-no. So it was just for a little bit. So I started gymnastics. I was pretty good, pretty successful. I think I did juniors when I was 9. I went to Bulgaria to competition. I got a silver medal. I was in a pretty good level with inside my team in my gym. My mom was my coach, and then I had another coach, so I had lots of coaches around me, but the most strict was my mother. Still is, until this day. And then my father kept on traveling so much, and at some point he created his act, high bar act, but back then in Russia, that was way before Cirque du Soleil. It was in the 80s. He was traveling a lot, and I missed him a lot. My mom missed him a lot, and at that point it was he would leave for 6 months sometimes, and sometimes more, and never home. And they decided that it's enough. Rhythmic gymnastics and any big sport is tough, so it's very intense on your body. And they said, you know what, we don't want to do this anymore, so let's just take her out and do something different, and let's all go travel and do circus. So my mom did circus a little bit before. For a little bit she worked with a juggler and did some acrobatics and different things, but my father joined circus when he was 19, I believe. I don't remember, 20 or something, very young.
In the circus, so was that the one with animals, right?
The traditional Moscow Russian circus, yeah. They created the act outside of Moscow somewhere. Yeah, this is where I didn't perform yet. And as you can see, that's my other weakness, horses, other than trampoline. I love horses, and that's I'm a Sagittarius, so that's my animal. So my mom, every time I was practicing, she said, practice well, you can go ride the horse. She was feeding me into that. And for me, it was the best thing ever, where the Jigite, which is like the Cossack people, they would warm up the horses right before they go. So they would put all the kids on the horses, and that was like my thing to do. I loved it. I was so excited every time I got to go on the horse. It was like my thing, you know. But I knew that I had to train hard. And you see, when you are a rhythmic gymnast or a ballet, or like every discipline in cirque or gymnastics has different muscle group that you use and everything. So for me, I could not ice skate, I could not rollerblade, I could not trampoline, I could not ride a horse because it would interfere with the muscle group of the body. Unless you're really good and you have maybe a day off the next day, then you can do it. So we went on tour with the new high bar act around Russia for about a couple of years. I had one hula hoop, and we tried to create something different, because hula hoops then in traditional circus was something that people would do if they had nothing else to do. No offense, but it would be like a girlfriend or a wife or a daughter or somebody would come out in this like bikini outfit, very like tacky, and just spin a bunch of hoops. So we didn't want to do that. At that point, I was the smallest. I was 11. I put a hoop on my foot, and I remember practicing in our Moscow apartment first, where I literally had step to the right, it was a wall, step to the left, it was a wall. We decided to do something completely different. I was 11, falling, yep, lots of dropping of the hoops, yep. This was already the creation of the act for about 6 months, I would say, because I had the basics. I didn't know how to do handstands, and my dad was teaching me handstand, doing push-ups, doing pull-ups. My mom was stretching me, and so I had one hula hoop. Nobody could show me how and what to do with it, because people were like, we can't show you, this is what we do. I spin my hoop on the knee, and then eventually you'll see my dad coming up to me and spinning the hoop on my foot because I couldn't do it anymore. But this is the process of, I think it's Sverdlovsk, somewhere in like Siberia, somewhere in Russia. Yeah, you see, so my dad's helping me. So from scratch, from zero, basically every day, non-stop for hours, just like flying hoops all over the place. And this is the creation.
Your mom is on the rhythmic gymnast side, and your dad is on the artistic gymnastics. They're trying to create a hybrid.
It's exactly what they've created, because I wasn't super tall. You can see here, I'm skinny, but for rhythmic gymnastics, all the girls supposed to be super tall and super skinny and look after their diet and weight. I wasn't really like that. My body, if you see me on stage even today, you can see like my body is shaped not like a rhythmic gymnast. Since I was little, my parents did both. My dad would work out with me and my mom would stretch me. So it benefited me until today, where I have the muscles to hold my legs, to do the handstand, but at the same time the flexibility is there. So the control and the balance of the two, it's very hard, but it's the best. Because if you're too flexible, it's too much, and if you're too strong, then it's also. It was a good combination. It was tough. We had no idea what we were doing. Not my mom, not my dad. My mom never did hula hoops. I mean, rhythmic gymnastics, we work, we throw and do little things, but nothing like that was done before, and especially at that young age. So it's hours and hours and hours of practice. Sometimes I look at this and I don't know how I survived sometimes. How did I do it? It's just... So we arrived to the city called Ashgabat, and suddenly the director of circus comes up to us. Hey, we're missing a few acts and some of them couldn't make it. They didn't arrive and something happened. Do you think your daughter could join our team, our program for this run? My parents didn't even think to say that I've never performed the act on stage, that I wasn't even performing yet, because he saw me train and it was pretty much ready, so he assumed. And they're like, yeah, sure, when is the premiere? In 3 days. And me, I look at them like, what are you thinking? Here I'm wearing one of my competition leotards from gymnastics. As you can see, my hoops are huge on me, and they're still, to this day, they're the same size. The hoop on the top is my very, very first hoop. Somebody from circus that my father worked with gave it to me as a souvenir, and the hoop is actually gold, and it's that size of the hoop, very small, that I still today I spin on my foot, and the rest of the hoops are exactly the same size as today, but they look huge here. Like, it's amazing. So a lot of people ask me this question: where do we get your hoops? Where do we find them? The thing is, like, if they find my hoops and they work with them, it doesn't mean that they're gonna end up doing what I'm doing, you know. That's another thing. But those hoops came from St. Petersburg. It was a factory of plastic, and they were making those hoops, and they were super narrow, super tiny, and very, very light. I think I'm the only one that works with such light hoops, because as you can see, my body is moving a lot, and still now, as I say, I use my body to do all the motions and all the movements. So, which is for a lot of people is hard. No cheating, no tape inside, nothing. So all that. And the little table was made by my uncle. He was very handy man with like wood and different jewelries. So he made that little teeny tiny table. As you can see, like manege, which is like the
ring, the circus ring
of the circus, is very unstable because of horses and animals, and it's rubber, it's very thick, and the carpet rolls in, rolls out, and it's uneven. So he made that little table specially for me, so I can be stable and even, and I don't have to like put my face on that yucky carpet. And so within 3 days, my parents picked this music. My mom put rhinestones on my 2 leotards. I had another one that's pink. And I went out to do the premiere. And nobody had no idea that I've never performed. After that, I joined my dad's act, and every city that he went to, I was in the show. In that circus, I remember, I don't think I was getting paid, but I remember the audience would throw Snickers at me. And I was so excited. I would get like 2-3 bars every day. Can you believe it? And that was my pay, you know.
Who needs this money stuff? Give me chocolate.
Yeah, and the riding a horse or feeding a horse. But you can see the fun choreography that my mom put. My dad is very cute and funny. And you can see like specifically this trick, I was still practicing to put the hoop or do, I couldn't put it on my foot myself yet. And later, as you see on the first Alegria, like I put the hoop and I do the twist. And so it was still a work in progress. Already a lot of the tricks that people think that they've created, well, here's the document. April 30th, 1993, it was already done.
How many hoops are on this?
There is about 15. And then I had this trick that I was doing where you see one hoop was on top, and I had to like really use my body to detach it so I can keep it for the end of the act. It was a challenge. Right now I have about 30 in my slinky, but it's not really about how many you have, it's how you spin it and how long. And so, I mean, it's different for everybody. My mom, I think, was always most nervous. I remember every time I would go for a routine, she had this thing, she had to like pinch me on my butt, which I hated it. It's like a thing they do in rhythmic gymnastics to kind of like get you, you know, away. I hated it. I was like, stop doing it, you know, all the time. Or she had this thing where she would just talk to me, remember this, and I would say, Mom, leave me alone, that's it. Because I knew how to get to the stage, I knew how to boom, and I'm there. Until today, I can like talk to you and then 5 minutes before I will switch and you will never notice that it was the same person. So nervousness is good. It's a good thing. I think if you're not nervous, then you should stop doing it, because it's excitement, it's adrenaline, and it gets you going. So if you feel like this is whatever, I don't care, then I think it's the opposite of, because I'm still very nervous. I mean, still. I think now more because you're getting older and, like the judgment is bigger. So when you're little, you don't really care about it. Lucky, I perform on the ground, I mean, yes, I have few wear and tear injuries, but my dad, I would watch him perform every day. Like I would come out and see my mom standing there and, he does the flying acting. So, and you've been there, so you know how it feels. So that's a different nervousness. Here you just, have fun, and of course you need the concentration. For example, last year, not coming back, I've never really stopped, but coming back with like the fans and social media and like all the full circle, the comeback. Oof, it was stress. Like every time coming on stage, I felt like so many eyes are on me, so many people are judging. So I had to learn how to snap out of it and enjoy it for myself, because it would give me a little bit of that stress, anxiety kind of thing. So you have to learn how to control it, which when you're younger, it's a little bit easier. And again, like I said, if you don't feel that, then it's time to step off stage. So yeah, I miss the stage. It's been 7 months, my God. The vacation was fantastic and the body was happy. And now it's like, okay, let's go. What are we doing? So, although, there's little projects here and there. December of 1993, I was turning 12. This is when Cirque du Soleil came to Moscow, and I remember my parents talking and my dad going to Moscow Circus, and I believe at that point it was Gilles and Guy and Franco who came, and my dad had the audition of his high bar. And February, we left to Montreal, 1994. But I remember I was so excited because I was supposed to have a history exam the next day, and I so did not want to do it, and we left, and I was like, yes, so February, yeah, we came for creation of Alegria, but again, it was not me. It was my father's act, the high bar, the Flying Levs, and me and my mom, we just, at that point, we stayed at Ridgeburg Apartments on Sherbrooke. It was winter, and we would just walk in Montreal, go up to the gym, train while my dad was at creation. And somebody saw me practice in the gym. Your daughter looks good, she's doing this and that, something different. You should do audition for Cirque du Soleil. My parents will know the exact story and the exact words, how it all happened, but I remember that when they approached, I'm not going to name the names, but one person said, Cirque du Soleil will never have hula hoops. And they're like, why? Well, because, it's an act, it's not an act, it's vulgar, it's this and that, and it's just, we will never have hula hoops in our circus. Okay, that's fine, I think Alegria still was in Montreal, and we were about to move to Quebec City, and finally they're like, okay, we're gonna look at your daughter. So, because they had some things happening. So we went to Angus, the first, the warehouse where the magic happened. This place you enter and everyone's working, technicians, all these things. But at that point, it was like one show creating, nothing else. Before us, it was Saltimbanco. So it was 2 years before, and Saltimbanco went to Japan and Alegria was in creation, and nobody was allowed. So me and my mom went, and we were like, oh my God, this is the place where everything happens. Everybody, the whole team, the whole team of best of the best. I won't name the names, but you know exactly who they are. I did my audition, I did my act, and okay, the person said never is never, was surprised and something different. So Alegria finishes in Montreal. We moved to Quebec City, and I believe my parents, I don't know if they received a call or they went and they talked to somebody. They're like, so what do you think about going to Mystère, which is in Las Vegas, which is a permanent show, and I think we might need a backup act. Yeah, but it's a casino and I'm 12. I think they were testing us. There was some kind of test going on, and at that point my parents were like, well, we wish we could be together. We just started traveling together, and now they're separating us, but we want to work, we want to be part of the company and the show, so we were up for anything. So they're like, okay, we're gonna send you to Montreal for 3 weeks of creation. So my dad stayed in Quebec. Me and my mom returned to Montreal. They gave me a music from Mystère. Debbie Brown came on board, worked with me. Lynn Hewart then was there. My mom, of course, and then there was another coach. Her name was Daniela. She used to coach the 4 contortionists that were on Nouvelle Experience, my favorite act. She was a Bulgarian rhythmic gymnast, so she came on to train with me contortion, to do extra stuff that we didn't know with my mom how to do, like all the basic things. But so I had the team, the whole team of people around me, and all day, like I don't know how many hours a day, it was just crazy. Then suddenly they're like, you know what? We might need a backup act on Alegria. What do you think about that? And we were like, are you serious? And at that point on Alegria, there was the 2 contortionists, the little girls, and they had the Chinese Perche, the 2 little girls. While I was training, One, the fire guy, was also coming on board as an extra act to do the show as well. So me and him, we were there at the same time, and we were like, of course, Alegria, I mean, what else can you choose? They're like, well, you would be not a full-time, you would be a backup act. You would do like a character, and then whenever the little girls would go out or something happens, we put you in. We were like, whatever, anything works, we were just wanted to be in. Suddenly Dominique Lemieux, the costume designer, comes to practice. oh, Elena, how are you? La 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 la. And she comes in and I see her face change. She's like, oh, well, I brought the sketch of your costume, but I don't think I want to show it to you. And they told her hula hoops. What in her mind, it was a grown-up woman, a bikini costume with like long shoes up to like the hips and like all kind of vulgar. She opens the thing, shows to me and goes, never mind, now that I see you, like the teeny tiny little girl. But that's what was in their mind, in their head, of hula hoops and from Russia and traditional circus. So basically, after when my costume was designed, the yellow costume, which is the original, a lot of people don't know because on the DVD of Alegria later on, I'm already 19 and the costume is green, and it is exactly the same style as the yellow one. But because I grew up and then like my body changed, I begged them, I said, please get me out of that 12-year-old costume because I need something different. I remember Eleni, who is now a makeup artist. And then there was another guy, I forgot his name, I'm sorry. And I remember putting this whole yellow leotard on me and the little flowers and little diamonds and little sparkles. I would stand there for hours and they would place it on me to make sure that the lines and the body was done exactly how it's supposed to. That costume was done with love. So the makeup changed gradually, like from year to year. It's the same person, it was still Natalie then, but it was just done, the white face and the lines. And my mom tried, I think 2 times to do my makeup and said, that's it, I give up, you do it. You do it how you want. When I joined already as part of the group, we were in San Jose, California. So Quebec, then we did Toronto. Did we do Toronto? I think we did Montreal, Quebec, Toronto. San Francisco is when I remember I traveled to Vegas to do my work visa. And then San Jose, which was the next city. Besides my act, I also became a nymph, which was one of the top characters with another girls. And I was doing the presentation, which is the opening where you come out. I had a little white tuxedo and I would, Mesdames et Messieurs, bonsoir, bienvenue au Cirque du Soleil. So I would do that in like every language, every city, every country that later we would go to, in Japan, in China, in Europe. I had to learn it by heart without a piece of paper. So the makeup adjusted to the nymph and my costume. And so every time Natalie came to visit, like maybe once a year, the makeup would adjust. By the time it was the DVD of Alegria, the white face disappeared. It became a little bit more natural. Because I remember this picture and I have it with him, and I think it was his birthday in Berlin. We shoot the movie there, Alegria movie. 8 o'clock in the morning, in the middle of Berlin, super cold fountain, Franco yelling at everybody, and I'm standing on a piece of Miro inside of water, super slippery, and the fountain is actually doing these waves, and they said, oh, just a little bit of water, and as I go down into my contortion pose, like the water is literally just, it's beautiful, beautiful, but again, to tell people how it was shot, how many hours, and the makeup, and being cold and wet, but I mean, it's beautiful. Yeah, it was something to remember. And I remember Natalie coming up. They did beautiful makeup for us. And then as we got to the fountain, she came up to each and every one of us and sprayed the water and just smeared the makeup because we are homeless street performers. And I didn't need to do that because I was in the water anyway, so it was gone. Oh, such nice people. And yeah, René Besné and super nice people. Yeah, that was interesting. We were shut down for about a week, I believe, and we were shooting the movie for like a week or so in Berlin. So it was specially done for that. Days and nights and just like, yeah. End of North American tour, Mr. Fuji also came and they did a movie on me as well. They shot like a documentary when we were in Washington for 2 days, like a promotional kind of thing for Japan. Filmed me how I eat, how I sleep, how I shop, how I trained, and it was a documentary for Japan upcoming tour. Before Japan, I think it was about a month break. I was training in Mystère, and I went to represent Cirque at Festival de Cirque de l'Avenir, so for the young ones. I was 14, and I got a silver medal there. So while everybody was vacationing, I went to Paris. So after Paris, they sent me to Saltimbanco for about 10 days, where I wore my Paris costume, Paris festival costume, Alegria music, and I performed my act there just for like about 10 shows or 10 days, I don't remember. This was G7 in Halifax in Canada, where the 7 presidents got together. At that point, it was Boris Yeltsin and Bill Clinton, and behind Bill is Sarah Steban, the Steban sisters from Saltimbanco. And what we did for a week, we put up Cirque for the audiences, and then we did like a special show for the G7 for the presidents. I did my act, and we did the little bicycles. I don't know if you remember, it was the show with the little masks and the hat, and it was a classic Cirque but with the acts from different shows. So it was really cute. So that costume they made for me for that, and then I used it in Paris Festival, and then later I performed in it in Saltimbanco. And that's it, I grew. And that's it. I did a lot of promotions for Saltimbanco for some reason. So when Alegria was off or dark, I would go and do like the Hurlish ice cream performance or some kind of convention or something for them, because I don't know, I was easy to transport. That's why I had barely any days off or time off between the cities, and because I also did school, I had to catch up, and it was intense, like a lot. I've done so many events, I don't even like remember all of them, but that one was a big one that Cirque got for something, I don't remember. Next to my mom is Gilles, behind is Gilles Saint Croix, and front is his wife, and to the right was Andrea, she was our PR. Behind is Gila Liberté with hair, Franco Dragon, and somebody else, I don't remember. And then the guy in the green jacket. Also, there's few people that were European office division. So every time we would go to a different tour, it would, be people that represent like the office. So, I was so scared. So my mom was with me, and she's in the back wearing actually the costume of jockey from Cirque I believe. Yeah, so this is the stage that Cirque gave to Bouglione. And so the first night when you perform, they judge. And then the second night you perform is basically another performance. And then they decide who wins or not. But in this category of kids, it was like 6 acts. You can see my mom is standing in the back and shaking and super nervous. So when I finished my act here, Monsieur Bouglione, when you do like a bow and you run out and then they tell you like, one more bow. And he stood there with his like hands out and he was holding a mic. And my exit was as I was doing a split jump and I miscounted. And when I did the jump, I hit his hand and the microphone flew out. Oh my God, I was so scared. I was like, that's it, that's it. I'm never gonna win. They're not gonna give me anything. Which unfortunately what happened is because I was Russian and I was representing Cirque du Soleil, which nobody liked at that point, especially Russians, the Russian judge gave me a 0. And instead of getting a gold medal, I got silver. And unfortunately, I think Gilles was there with us and he was so upset because he was not in the jury by some reason. Yeah, I remember he was like, well, she's Russian representing, and at that time it was kind of upsetting. I see my slinky's getting bigger. That one maybe about 20, so slowly. Because I'm so tiny, if you take the slinky and you spin it and you take the momentum, it becomes very heavy. So it can actually sometimes I remember last year when I was getting into it, I could lose my balance because it was getting very intense. So yeah, that festival was interesting, and I did another festival after that in China and got a bronze, and then they're like, okay, Monte Carlo. I said, no, you know what, it's not for me. These things are so political. That's why I left gymnastics, because it's kind of they just judge you for whatever because you're a different person. Well, when you're a kid, you don't understand. You're like, why, what, I did everything. Yeah, it was strange, but it was an experience. I did it, and it's done. It's there. It's in the...
Thank you for watching part 1 of Live Entertainment Talk with Elena Lev. We're looking forward to having you back for part 2 coming next week. Please don't forget to subscribe to our channel as we're going to be releasing more exciting content relating to live entertainment.